Last week, we said the Bulls took 2 steps forward and 1 step back. And I'm pretty sure over the weekend, they took about 5 steps back. Two really bad games against the Knicks, and then 150 points allowed in regulation to the Minnesota Timberwolves. That's not good, but we're going to talk about it here on today's episode of Believe in Bulls here on the Believe Network, presented by BetOnline.ag. I am your host, Nick Schultz, alongside my partner, former Bulls bench mob member and Tennessee Vol, C.J. Watson. C.J., yikes.
Yeah, that's about all you can say,
My goal is to not hit the button when I upload this that says explicit language. So I'm going to try
Right.
to keep it PG, but yikes is the best way to put it after this
Yeah.
weekend.
Oh yeah, for sure. That was pretty ugly and brutal. So hopefully, I don't know what they can do to bounce back from that, but hopefully it has to be good.
And I mean, I don't want to say the sky's falling, but we're not exactly talking about sunshine and roses on the show today. It's not good, but we're going to try to find a positive spin somewhere because we're all about positivity on the show. It's Christmas time, for crying out loud. We're going to try and find some positivity. After I tell you about our friends at Bet Online, basketball is in full swing, and Bet Online remains your number one source for all your sports betting needs this season. You'll always find the latest odds, team matchup information, player news, and game trends at Bet Online. And as your continued source for all sports wagering information, BetOnline features live betting, free contests, and giveaways all season long. It is always the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports and events, whether that's NFL, NBA, NHL, MMA, tennis, boxing, even golf. There's a lot of football and basketball this weekend with the holiday coming up. Bet on all of it at BetOnline. What are you waiting for? Head to betonline.ag to join and receive your 50% welcome bonus with your first deposit. Make sure to use our promo code BELIEVE to receive your rewards. That's BLEAV. Get that 50% bonus at BetOnline. It's where the game starts. And we have an official store of the network and an official t-shirt of the show. Shop.believe.com. Jordan Pippen 98, The Last Dance is the t-shirt for this program. You got a couple days left to do your last minute holiday shopping. I may or may not be doing some last minute Amazoning. You can go on shop.believe.com. Try to get stuff before Christmas. Otherwise, it's just a good gift to give out. Jordan Pippen 98, The Last Dance is the official t-shirt of the show. The guys do a great job with the Believe shop as well. Go check that out. Support the network and support our show. All right, let's get to it. This team's broken. I mean, there is no other way to put it. 114-91, Bulls lose to the Knicks, and then they lose 150-126 in regulation to the Minnesota Timberwolves, who did not have Rudy Gobert and did not have Karl-Anthony Towns. Something's wrong, and I don't know how to fix it.
Yeah, this is pretty ugly. I know I've been preaching patience and just holding it out, and it'll come around sooner or later. But I'm starting to be like everyone else, hit the panic button and blow this thing up because it's getting ugly. They look uninspired. They don't look like they have any team chemistry at all. So I think the best thing might be to just let these older vets get to a team where they can compete for a championship and just start young and rebuild.
All year we've been talking about the idea of tanking. I mean, it first came up a couple weeks ago, and we laughed at it. We scoffed it off.
Right.
We're like, okay, this doesn't need to happen. This team feels close. They're missing their point guard. He kind of ties the whole thing together. It'd be one thing if these were 4-point losses, 5-point losses. You can't lose like you did to the Knicks. And by the way, 114-91, that seemed closer than it was if you watch that game, because I mean, you give Tibbs another couple days to prepare for the same team. That's what happens. But then that Timberwolves game, that's the one that pushes me over the edge, because you let a team shoot 66% from the field and over 50% from the 3-point line, 53.5% from the 3-point line. You cannot do that. That is not the sign of a team that is close. Like we said, I thought they were close. I thought they were one piece away. They were losing these close games. 2 blowout losses in the row. Count me on the group. Oh, I'm with you. Blow this thing up.
Yeah, it's time to do something. Something has to change, and it has to be now because, like you said, it would be different if they're losing by 1 or 2 points, definitely in the fight of the games. But now they're just getting blown out. And just like I said, it doesn't look like they even care anymore. Hopefully that's not the case. But, the heart has to be in it someone. And right now, I don't think it is.
We have heard a lot from Billy Donovan about spirit and energy, having bad flashbacks. This is what happened before Billy Donovan got there. They had these games. They were getting blown out, and Jim Boylan, God bless him, used to go into the press conference and talk about spirit and energy and fight. Game in, game out. They could lose. They lost by a record amount of points. I want to say the Golden State Warriors. Klay Thompson went off and set the record for 3-pointers in a game. And Jim Boylan went out in that press conference. Oh, I thought our spirit was good. We played with good energy. That's my Jim Boylan impression. It helps I'm a little hoarse today. But
Try that. Do that one more time.
I mean, we played to win 4 quarters. First quarter, like I could not stand that guy, and I have made it known on this podcast. I am seeing the same things I saw then. I never thought I would invoke that with this roster. I mean, DeRozan, Vucevic, Caruso. I mean, I know Lonzo's not there. Where in the world was Andre Drummond against the Timberwolves? That's on Billy Donovan. I don't know who's to blame here, but this isn't good.
Yeah, it's not good. Like you said, like the spirit is in there, and the whole, like I said, the team chemistry just isn't. It doesn't look like they have any fight in them, any dog in them, and especially when you're getting blown out by these teams. Like after the first quarter, it looked like a pretty, their Bulls going to go on to win a game, but after that, it just went downhill. I don't know what the issue is or what the issue was, but like I said, something has to happen. It has to happen now.
We've addressed the slow starts. They were winning after the first quarter. It was 34-32. Yeah. Then they allowed 39 points in the second quarter, 42 points in the third quarter. That cannot happen. And this team seemed like a play-in team with the way the East was set up. And now they're going to have to fight to get into the play-in tournament. And if this is fixable, and I mean, it's a big if, it's got to happen. And I mean, this week, like this has got to start turning soon. Otherwise, you get to January. We talked about how big a month this is. This is a huge month in the NBA. You can make a move. I compared it to moving day in a golf tournament. You can make a move and put yourself in position. They are doing the exact opposite. They are 11-18. This thing's going south fast.
Yeah, and I think it is fixable, honestly. Like I said, I'm one to be pessimistic, and I think it's definitely fixable. But I think it all has to do with the players. They got to find it with themselves. How much do they want to win? How much do they want, just take on self-pride and win games and not let people blow by them, not get beat one-on-one all the time, not let a guy go for 30 points on you. Like that has to be something that is within each player. Like I'm not gonna let this guy go for 30 tonight. I gotta hold him to like 15 or 20 or something like that, and hopefully we can come close and win the game.
The most telling quote to me after that Timberwolves game came from Goran Dragic, who I'm going to talk about in a second. He said, "We're not playing for each other. It's as simple as that." Mm-hmm. This sounds like it's more than just roster makeup and coaching decisions. This sounds like I don't know if it's a morale thing. Maybe you can shed some light on that.
And it's like I said, being on losing teams before, a lot of guys just play just to get their numbers. And when you're doing that, you're not going to win a lot of games, and you're going to lose a lot of games, just like they lost against the Timberwolves. So when guys are not playing for themselves, not playing for team, or playing for stats and points and all that other kind of stuff, it's never going to be a good income.
After the Knicks loss, Zach LaVine made it seem like, oh, we might not need a players only meeting. Now it seems like they do, and I don't know if we're going to hear about it. He even says, like, if we have one, we're not going to tell you guys, you being the reporters.
Right.
But you got to have something, right? I mean, get the coaching staff out of the room. This needs to be your leaders coming together and get this thing on track as best you can.
Yeah, it has to happen now. Like they need a players only meeting. They need maybe a couple actually, just to figure this thing out. Whoever the team leaders are, they got to come out and be team leaders, not point the blame or the finger at anyone, because that's never how good players meetings end. If they do that, it's going to end up even worse. They're going to have some more games like this where they get blown out of the water. So guys just got to come in and come together, see how they can fix this thing and really turn it around.
We also need to start talking about some moves, though, because I've been kicking that can down the road all year. Oh, this team's fine. Add a piece, add a 3-and-D guy. It just seemed like before this weekend, it just seemed like that's what they needed. They needed one more guy to help light that fire on defense. Right. And now, okay, there are more problems here, and maybe they're just bubbling to the surface now. But you got to remember, Nikola Vucevic is on an expiring contract, and I have not heard any scuttle or any reports about extension talks. I think Jake Fisher, who was at Bleacher Report, now he's at Yahoo, I think he wrote something that said there have been not any talks about extending Vucevic. DeMar DeRozan's value is still sky high. I mean, he dropped 29 against Minnesota. Like, at some point, if you're Arturas, who I got a message for Arturas Karnisovas in a minute too. I'm full of teases right now. Like, if you're Arturas and Mark Eversley, you've got to start, okay, what can we maybe package together? And I don't want to say tank, but they're going to have to tank if you want a top 4 pick. That's the only way you keep that pick that's going to Orlando.
Right. Yeah, I think who do you want to build your team around? Is it going to be Zach? Is it going to be Lonzo? You got to really figure that out, because I think that might be some of some of the congestion going on. DeMar might be getting the ball too much, and Zach thinks it's his team. Whatever the case may be, I don't know. But I think you got to really figure out who you want to build your team around for the future and kind of go from there. Because I think this is like a battered, lineup, because you can't really have too many ball handlers, not enough 3-point shooters, no defensive people. So got to kind of figure it out.
Like when they signed Lonzo and DeRozan, they were 4-year deals. When it happened, came on this very show, and I said, okay, your window now is 4 years because that's
Right.
what you've invested all that money into for a 4-year window. Last year looked like a good start. And then you run this thing back and you add Goran Dragic, who I think Goran Dragic has been a great addition. I think he's kind of a calming presence. I think he's the voice of reason. Like when players meet the media and stuff, he's not overstepping. He's not going to call anybody out. He's a professional. He's a leader.
Right.
I still want to know why Andre Drummond didn't play in this game because he was a coach's decision. I want to say he's healthy. I did not hear anything from Billy Donovan that said he was injured. Like, I think he has proven to be good, but those were your two additions.
Right.
That's it. And then Dalen Terry, he's in the G League. Why is he not on the roster getting minutes? I mean, you've got to do something here. Like my point is, this roster wasn't perfect, and Billy Donovan said it a couple days ago. This team was 2 DeMar DeRozan buzzer beaters away from being in the play-in tournament last year. Why would you not upgrade more than just 2 veterans coming off the bench?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's definitely something to be had for and reasons to find answers for. But I think, at least like you said, Billy Donovan knew what he had coming in. He wasn't super excited about it, so I think he's just like us. He figures out that this is what we've been going through. This is what my situation is, and best thing we can do is just try to figure out get to wins and hopefully just quiet all the haters down.
I mean, I don't even know if it's about quieting the haters at this point, just with how quickly this thing turned. Like, I'm just going to say it again. If these were close losses, we're having a different conversation on this podcast. I'm probably a little calmer and not calling everybody on the roster out. But I mean, these are blowout losses, and both of which I think were avoidable, at least blowouts. I mean, the Knicks shot the lights out from 3 for the second game in a row, second time in 3 days they shot the lights out. Then you allowed Minnesota to shoot 66% from the field. We have said the defense is a problem. Is that the biggest problem on this team, or is it just a bunch of things coming together at once and it's just at a really bad time?
I think it's a bunch of things coming together at once, but the main thing, like you said, is defense. And you can't let guys come in and shoot the high percentage numbers from 3, and then you can't let guys just get to the teeth of your defense, and score points in the paint. That's gonna ruin every defense. No matter how great your defense is, it's doomed to fail. But also I think it just comes to players just looking themselves in the mirror and say, I'm not gonna let this guy get to the paint, or I'm gonna help my teammate out, or do a little more just to help the team. And I don't think anyone on the team is doing that right now.
It feels like they're just, as fans, just feels like you got to blame somebody. I mean, there's somebody's got to be at fault here. So, I mean, people have been coming after Billy Donovan. Has he made the proper adjustments? I know his scheme is all about, shoot. Well, this team doesn't have shooters. So has he made the adjustments? Is he using Vooch well enough? Is he, changing the offense to make it work to the players he's had? Or is it the front office for putting this roster together and it just doesn't seem like they're playing as a unit?
I think a little bit for everybody, the front office, coach, players. Like I said, the team isn't constructed for me to be able to win. I think right now, you got to make some more moves, but also, coaches is going to take some heat of it, and obviously players also. But the players, I think, has the most brunt of the blame, because they're the ones on the court playing. They can really dictate how their energy is, how their team camaraderie is, all that kind of stuff. But right now, I don't see that. They look like a wounded dog right now.
They do, and I have an interesting comparison here from Casey Johnson. This came up in my Twitter feed today, and I want to read it. The Bulls entered 2007-2008 with high expectations. They won 49 games the year before. They drafted Joakim Noah, continuity on the roster. They added Joe Smith in free agency. Started 9-16. Scott Skiles got fired, and the Ben Wallace trade happened. And then they drafted some kid named Derrick Rose out of Simeon High School because they got the luck in the lottery. Now, this is the disclaimer from KC. Billy Donovan's not getting fired. I mean, all these people asking about Billy Donovan. Well, he got an extension in the offseason, which I still have my thoughts on why that was kept quiet. And now you got to worry about the lottery luck. If you make moves, and if this is the way you decide to go, you have to be in the top 4. Because if you're 5, you don't have that pick, and you're going to miss out on one of these top college guys. So that has to be a factor when we talk about moves. and potential trades and making things happen, it needs a lot needs to happen to get that pick.
Yeah. So do you just want to tank? I mean, I'm not a fan of
I mean,
tanking, but you gotta do what you gotta do.
the thing with tanking though, with the way they changed the lottery odds, are you
Right.
guaranteed to be in the top four? Like it's
Right.
if it was top 10 protected, okay,
Right.
everybody you're gonna have the pick. It's a top four protected pick. So you gotta be careful if this is the way you go, because you could trade everybody like everybody wants them to do, and you
Right.
could end up outside the top four. All of a sudden, you're sitting there SOL, and now you've got even more questions.
Yeah, yeah, it's a tough thing to do. Like I said, you just got to do what's best for the team and what's best for the future. Obviously, basketball is a business, so you got to protect your money, protect the brand, and hopefully, down the line, this team will be a championship contender within the next 4 or 5 years.
And one other thing here, because I mentioned something about I got a message for Arturis. Where's he at? I mean, I disagree with Joe Cowley on a lot. I said that a lot on the show. He's absolutely right. Where is Arturas Karnisovas right now? Because when they
Right.
were winning, I mean, he was talking to the media. I mean, it was not like a regular thing. It was not like Jerry Jones where he's going on the radio every Thursday talking
Yeah,
about free agent
yeah.
signings. Like, Arturas was around. He had his media. He'd show up. He'd talk to the media, and he's nowhere to be found right now. And they've requested to talk to him. The team said no. So he needs to come out and face the music, because this is his roster. This is his brainchild. He put this together. I want him to answer these questions. Quit putting Billy Donovan out there, talk about personnel decisions from a
Right.
roster building standpoint. He doesn't make those calls. That's Arturas Karnisovas and Mark Eversley. Get out there and talk to the media, because the fans want to hear from him too. I'll get off my soapbox. I had to get that off my chest.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely when it's good, everyone wants to be out in front of the spotlight. When it's bad, everyone goes hide in their hands. So I think
Right.
he should come out, and talk about this and just say, maybe I made some bad moves and hopefully we'll make some better moves in the future. But right now I think he has to come out and say something, not just just hide in the cave.
And I feel like once a trade deadline comes around, we'll maybe hear something, hopefully,
Right.
because he
For sure.
talked after
Yeah.
they made the Vucevic trade. Like, that's common to
Yeah.
make a trade. Like, Rick Hahn is known to do this. Finally, Ryan Poles for the Bears is doing this too. Ryan Pace used to do the same thing. He would talk. I hate mixing NFL and NBA, but this works for this argument. Ryan Pace used to talk twice a year:
Yeah.
training camp and the end of the year. That's it. And he'd do the
Right.
weekly hit on BBM, but that was the pregame show. Like, Arturas Karnisovas needs to come out if they make a move and be like Rick Hahn and Ryan Poles, where you make a trade, you come out and defend it, you talk about where you're going next. So if moves happen, I fully expect AK to come out and talk about it, especially because Rick Hahn works in a Jerry Reinsdorf organization. So it doesn't sound like a Jerry thing. This just sounds like AK needs to get out and either defend this or just explain themselves.
Oh yeah, I'm sure if a trade is going to happen, and he okays it, he's definitely going to come out and say something about it, and defend himself for this past season, for the games that are previously played and the moves he's made and the future moves he's going to make. So I think he's definitely going to come out and say something.
I mean, this is when we're talking about the blame game, I feel like I have to blame AK and Mark Eversley for I mean, I thought this roster was good enough. I thought maybe add a 3-point shooter and another 3-and-D guy. If Lonzo Ball in this equation, have you seen The Big Lebowski?
Yes.
The rug ties the room together.
Yeah.
Lonzo Ball ties the room together.
Yeah.
He makes this whole thing work. He
Yep.
can distribute, he can shoot, he can play defense. All of a sudden, you take him out, and now you've got. I love Iota Sumu. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I've been outspoken about this. I said it when he was at Illinois. I wanted him in the draft, and they got him. I couldn't believe they got him where they got him.
Right.
But I wanted him. He's not Lonzo. Goran Dragic, great addition. Fantastic addition from a leadership and veteran standpoint. He's not Lonzo Ball. That's the type of guy we're looking for. When we say a 3-and-D guy, when we talk about that on this show, we're looking for Lonzo Ball, and he's not there. So this roster is built around that guy. I don't know what to think about that.
Yeah. I think he definitely ties everything together. I think it would be definitely a different story. We wouldn't be having this conversation if Lonzo's in the lineup right now. But injuries happen. You guys got to move on and do what you have to do with the best lineup you have. And obviously the Bulls are definitely missing him, and hopefully he gets back soon.
I also just love that in the midst of this whole thing, I made a Big Lebowski reference on this show. Like, I did not expect to make that particular one, but I mean, it works. Like, Lonzo he's the one. He brings that whole thing. That's I mean, that's, you were a point guard. You're tasked with bringing everything together.
Yeah. He definitely brings together leadership, like you said, defense, chemistry, everything. And I think it's just unfortunate that they didn't have him, and unfortunate that their season isn't over. But it's definitely not looking too bright down the road.
No, and you take that out, and the depth is a question too at that position, because as you look at this roster and just draw from your experience and the guys you played within the league, do they have another true point guard on this roster?
Not to do the things that Lonzo does. No, to pass, to shoot, play defense. Just the intangibles that he brings, like Goran Dragic and Ayo are definitely great, but they're no Lonzo, especially with his experience and all that kind of stuff. So I think in future, Ayo will get there, but not just he doesn't have it right now.
And I think Dragic is the closest thing to like a true point guard. I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah,
talking like a John Stockton type where pass, pass, pass. Like, I mean, you want someone who he can distribute, he can shoot when he wants. It's just that the defense that's
yeah.
where Lonzo makes an impact like he does. And I think I would assume he's a great defender, but he needs to develop more. And you
Right.
worry because he was a second round pick. Got a
Yeah,
decision to make on that contract. And we talked about that a little earlier in the year. Well, maybe that decision might have to come a little sooner with the way things are
yeah,
going right now, depending on what route they go. So if there's a need on this roster, and there's a lot of them, like as we've seen, there's a lot of different needs here.
yeah.
I feel like you have to start at point guard, right?
Yeah, for sure. You definitely don't know the health of Lonzo and when he's going to come back. And you already got two great wing perimeter players. So point guard is definitely what you need right now. That and another, like I said, a 3-and-D guy or someone to protect the rim. So just for the future.
Yeah, and I think when we talk about building the team around one of them, you're not trading Zach, right?
Yeah, I don't think you trade Jack. Yeah, I think you just keep Zach because he's younger than DeMar. If anyone, I feel like you trade DeMar, maybe get some assets back for him because his value is really high right now. Or Vooch. But like I said, I don't know what the GM's thinking or the president's thinking. So whatever he's thinking, hopefully it has to be to make a decision soon.
And all eyes are going to be on the Bulls when trade time comes around. Like when teams start making moves, all eyes are going to be on the Bulls because they've got guys. I mean, even Dragic, I don't know. Isn't it, that's the bigger conversation that we can have maybe this week. But if anybody's not on the table, if there's anyone on the table, like I mean, it's all a matter of I want to know what Arturis is thinking, but he
Right.
hasn't talked.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to tell you that anyway. Those
Right.
GMs or presidents, yeah,
Right.
won't do anything. But for me, I would say everyone's on the table. I just want to hear what people want to offer, just in case it's something that entices me or can really help our team now or for in the future.
Well, and my point was usually you can like read between the lines
Right.
in a way,
Yeah.
like when they're talking, like, okay, he said this. Could this mean that
Right.
this guy could be moved? What's his vision look like? It's more about what the long term, what the vision is. I know he wants to win now. I mean, he has made that evident in his time in charge. He wants to win now,
Right.
and that seems to be going the wayside. And maybe this is 29 of 82 games in. It seems. I mean, we're passing that 30 game mark. They're coming up on the flip of the calendar. Am I overreacting here?
No, I don't think so at all. You're definitely right on point. I think when people were calling for them to tank earlier, I think it was a little too soon. But now we're right into the thick of things. I think it has to happen now, especially by the way they're losing. It's just like I said, it just looks like there's no fight in them, no energy, no team camaraderie. So I think something has to happen now.
That's the biggest thing. Blowouts and
Yeah.
blowouts to teams that are not fully healthy. I
Right.
mean, it's not good. The fact that we talk about defending the paint and the paint defense, that's important. But when
Mhm.
Minnesota doesn't have Gobert or Cat, and you still allow them to do that, and they torch you from 3 point distance, which is now, if every team does that, like if every team is watching these games, they're going to have that in their scouting report. I expect teams to just live outside
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
3 point lines and just shoot threes and see if they fall. Like that's the recipe to beat this team, I think.
Oh yeah, for sure. Just attack the basket, and then they're gonna foul you, or you're gonna get to the paint and you're gonna score. So I think that's just the biggest thing, like just protecting the paint, protecting the basket, and defending the 3 point line. I think just make them shoot mid range, low percentage, tough contested shots, and I think that should be the game plan. But obviously, they're letting them do whatever they want out there.
Yeah, I mean they really are, and that's evident by that Minnesota game. Just seems like a big turning point in the season, not in a good way. It seems like the turning point in that, hey, maybe this team is as bad as people were saying early in the year. Like that's
Right.
what it feels like.
Yeah, yeah. And players are just playing like, just trade me or get me to a better situation or something. I really don't like it here.
I mean, I hope they like. I mean, I want Chicago to be a destination. I thought that's
Right.
kind of
Yeah.
the breath of fresh air that Arturis and Eversley, and Eversley was a big reason he got DeRozan, like, and Billy
Right.
Donovan as the coach. Like You went from John Paxson, Gar Forman, and Jim Boylan to Arturas Karnisovas, Mark Eversley, and Billy Donovan. Like, I mean,
Right.
you're going from let's use a car analogy for this case.
Yeah.
You're going from a little beater to a Rolls Royce, in my opinion.
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that is such a big change. I want Chicago to be a destination. I want these guys to play inspired. I still think Billy Donovan is a very good coach. Just give him the pieces.
Yeah, I think he just needs the pieces. He needs a team, and I think Chicago is definitely a destination. People just just want to go there because of the tradition, the city, and they got to win for people to go there. No one wants to go to a losing atmosphere.
One last selling point. Did you see the ovation Derrick Rose got in that second Knicks game when he came in?
Yep, that's
Does
why
that
they got to bring him back.
does that not show you how
Yep.
great Chicago fans are?
Yeah. And that's
I mean,
that's what I think the team needs. They need something, some kind of boost like that. And I think D Rose would definitely bring that back to the city, back to the team. So hopefully they can get some more players besides him to make this team competitive again.
John Greenberg at the Athletics said maybe it's time to bring Derrick Rose back. We were on that 2 weeks before.
Hey, we said it first, man. They need to hire us.
We're trailblazers, man. We're
Right.
trailblazers out here. I mean, we were on the bring Derrick Rose. We were on that train before anyone else was. Make it happen. I think that would be huge. Yeah. And I don't know if it's going to happen soon. The deadline's in February, but we're going to hear a lot of trade chatter because, as I said last week, the trade date for players who were signed in the offseason is passed. That means anyone is on the table to be traded unless obviously they've got no trade clauses or whatever. But anyone that has been signed is now eligible. So there's going to be a lot of movement here. At least it feels like it. Because, I mean, the standings are still jam-packed. And I know it seemed like they were in position to make a move, but I don't think anymore. They're falling farther and farther back in the standings. The schedule coming up, they've got the Heat coming up next. They've got another couple games in this road trip. I think they got another game against the Knicks coming up too. That's going to be fun. Like it's make or break time. And I think I went from like, okay, give them a month, give them a couple weeks. It is this week. You've got to make a move to prove, hey, we can turn this thing around, or you got to start blowing it up.
Yeah, the time is now. They got to do it, and I think if they do make some moves, they still can make a run from the playing game or even the playoffs. They just got to get some wins, but I think the time is now to really figure it out and see what you want to do, what your future wants to come of this team or just the future teams, really.
Heat, Hawks, Knicks. Next 3 games, all on the road, and this is a team that's 4-11 on the road. Yeah, this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be a fun few days. I mean. But what else is there to say? I wish we had more positivity, but that was 150 points in regulation. I cannot fathom that, considering I grew up with Tom Thibodeau teams and you played for those teams. I cannot believe that that's where this team is at now.
I couldn't imagine a team scoring 150 on us and we had to practice the next day. It would be brutal. We'd be running, doing closeouts for days, 1-on-1 drills, 2-on-2 drills. It would be brutal.
I can't even make a joke about Tibbs and the beard. That's how mad I am about that game.
Right.
I mean, it'll come around. The rematch against the Knicks on Friday, and after Christmas, when we do our show after Christmas, the jokes will be made about Tibbs, but whatever he's got going on with the beard. I mean, I don't know what
he's doing with it. Yeah,
but well, that's a whole different segment we'll do next week. But we'll go ahead and wrap it up here for today's episode of Believe in Bulls here on the Believe Network, presented by BetOnline.ag. Use that 50% bonus. BLEAV is the promo code. It's a great offer from BetOnline. Shop.believe.com if you want to support the show. See if you might have a little bit of time to get some last minute Christmas shopping done. Believe store, they got great stuff. CJ, I'm glad we could laugh to end the show today, considering how mad we were on here. And hopefully things are a little different on Thursday. I'm not holding my breath though. I don't think this is going to go very well.
Yeah, just stay optimistic, but bring D Rose back to the city. I think it'll be bring a big energy boost to the city and to the team. I think it'll be definitely what the city needs, and I'm sure what he wants too. We'll talk more about that on Thursday for Friday's show. Well, that's a tease that we call that in business. That's coming up later this week. We'll talk more about D Rose. We need some positivity. Until then, we'll see you later this week, everybody. Have a great week.